Hey humans, how's it going? Susan Ruth here. Thanks for listening to another episode of Hey Human Podcast. On this episode, firstly, I have to give a warning. Some of the content is mature and there's a few words used later on in the podcast. It's not... I'm trying to think of how to say this. It's in reference. It's not in speech, if that makes sense. It's not that the words are used specifically in rhetoric. I'm not even sure how to say this. Basically, we're talking about the words and what they mean and why they're used or how they're used. The N word is talked about, and then the C word, as in see you next Tuesday. So for those of you that know what that one means. Anyway, so I just wanted to kind of put that out there. I think it's important to mention. So if that's something that will upset you, then just be forewarned that it's in the latter half of the episode. And again, it's in reference to, we're talking about language and words that are used, hurtful words or hateful words, and what that and how that has power. So just so you know about that, we talked about. So okay, I should say, I haven't even said yet. I sat down with Ruth Waytz, and she is a representative from the Church of Satan. I reached out to the Church of Satan because I really wanted to talk to a Satanist because there are different kinds of connotations, obviously, that come to mind when you think Satan or Satanists. So it was something that I really wanted to dive into. So I wrote a letter to the Church of Satan, and Ruth was the one that contacted me and agreed to be on the show. I was very thankful for that. So I read a lot about the Church of Satan in preparation for the podcast. Ruth was kind enough to send me links also, and I studied those as well. We have this conversation in Los Angeles when I was there visiting a little while ago. It was on the heels of the Charlottesville weekend where marches were happening, the Nazi marches, white supremacists, Nazis, whatever you want to call them. So we talk about that as well. I know it's been a few months now, but I still think these conversations are always relevant. We talk about the statues and things like that. But most of the conversation is in reference to the Church of Satan. It was super fascinating. And Ruth was really kind and invited me out. After we talked, we went to see... Actually, she invited me before she even met me. That when I called her, or she called me, I guess. When she called me on the phone and responded to the letter I had written, she invited me, sight unseen, to go watch a fun table read. She knows the voice actors for Futurama, and they did a outtake of different TV shows and commercials and things, and they did them in their Futurama character voices. It was really fun and funny, and so Ruth and I went to dinner, and then we went to the show. And it was a fantastic time. She's a lovely, bright woman, very articulate, very interesting. And I personally believe in something bigger than myself. She, of course, is an atheist. I am not an atheist. But it doesn't matter because we were just two human beings sitting down and having a really fascinating conversation. I learned a lot. And I just, the bottom line is, I hope that this is what Hey Human does, is that I am so appreciative of, is that I get to sit down with people and have these conversations, and we don't have to agree on stuff, and yet we may agree on stuff. In other words, nothing's 100% all the time. And I don't know, Ruth was great, and I really enjoyed her, and I consider her now a friend. And who would have thunk it that I am friends with somebody from the Church of Satan? Never would have thought it. But then again, I never really knew what the Church of Satan was. So hopefully you check out this episode and you learn something about it. And usual stuff. Hey Human is on all the social media, and I'm on Twitter, Susan Ruthism. You can email me, susan@heyhumanpodcast.com. And yeah, just thank you for listening. Thanks for spreading the word. And this is a interesting episode. Again, trigger warning, or I guess content warning, that there is some language, the use of the word N-word and the C-word, because we were talking about what those words mean. So just so you know that will happen at the latter half of the episode. And I just want you to be aware of that as a listener. So, okay, here we go. Ruth Waytz, Church of Satan. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hi, Ruth Waytz.
Hi, Susan Ruth.
Welcome to Hey Human Podcast.
Thanks.
I'm very pleased to have you here. Although I'm not here, I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm
you're here.
House.
I have you here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very pleased to be here. Thanks for having me in your home. It's cool. There's so much to look at.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure to have you.
It's really great. You are a Magistra in the Church of Satan.
Correct.
And also, you were awarded Witch of the Year last year.
Yes. Well, I'm still reigning.
You're still reigning Witch of the Year, and but you're also an Emmy award-winning writer.
Yes.
And you worked with Larry Flynt.
Yes.
And I mean, I've
done a lot of things.
Yeah, you're an editor and a publisher.
Yes.
And so, let's dig in. First of all, just because it's fun, what did you do for Larry Flynt?
I was his research director for 6 years, which meant I was responsible for the factual accuracy of all printed materials in all magazines and publications made by Larry Flynt. So it wasn't just Hustler and Chic and whatever, but
That's the cats. The cats are probably gonna...
Cats are playing.
Yeah, the familiars are having fun. They're playing
They were
soccer.
quiet until we turned the mic on, and then,
That's how cats are. It's okay.
So I was responsible for the Beaver Hunt and the Asshole of the Month columns. My department generated candidates for Asshole of the Month. We worked up little bios, and then we submitted that stuff to Larry, and then Larry picked the one he wanted, and then we did more intense research. So
Okay, wow, I bet that was a long list.
it was a very long list. It was a long time ago.
How did you get to the top of that list? You'd have to really be.
Well, it was always Larry's whim, but
Yeah. And a fact checker is that, like, she's a double D, not a double C. We have to make a correction, or what?
We actually, a lot of people don't realize that there were words in Hustler magazine. There were lots of articles and interviews and stories, and we did fact checking. We did quote verification. Yeah. We did all that, and the Beaver Hunt thing was really interesting because before I started working there, they got sued a lot by my ex-boyfriend, my ex-husband, my whatever sent in these pictures of me without my knowledge, and now I've lost my job. So I worked with Larry's legal team to set in stone a much better ID verification process. And to the best of my knowledge, he hasn't been sued since. At least not by a beaver.
Not by a beaver. Wow, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I met him in passing once at a restaurant.
I'm sorry.
He was. He didn't stand up. No, just kidding. That's a terrible joke.
It's a great joke.
It's a terrible joke. How rude, he didn't stand up.
Don't stand on ceremony, Larry.
How long did you work there?
6 years.
6 years, okay. And then, can we talk about your Emmy?
Sure. From Hustler, I went to Jeopardy, and I was not a writer for Jeopardy. I was a researcher for Jeopardy. Okay. And but the whole team, it was all it was before they all joined the Writers Guild, so it was kind of sort of a mushy hodgepodge of who's a writer, who's a researcher, whoever. So we all got the Emmy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great show.
Thank you.
Fun show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, all right. So let's dig in.
Okay.
Church of Satan.
Sure.
I think the funny thing is when I mention to people I know, I've got this interview coming up and I'm really excited about it, people flipped out.
Really?
Of course. They hear word Satan and they just lose their minds.
That is kind of the point.
Yeah. But it's interesting as I read things and watched the videos that you sent me. Thank you for that.
Cool. Thank you for actually doing research.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Most people don't.
Yeah. I guess I know enough to be dangerous, which means I really don't know that much, but enough to hopefully steer conversation, as I hope you do as well. Yeah. But I think it's so LeVay founded the Church of Satan.
Correct.
And from what I gather, it was more about, first of all, it's an atheist organization,
that
not
is correct.
A theist.
Absolutely
and
true.
And it's hugely important to make that distinction.
We think so too.
Yeah. So that means you don't believe in anything, neither
correct.
God nor Satan.
That's correct.
But here's the thing that I think is so fun about that. Well, fun, whatever, for lack of a better word, is that you really play off of the demon-y thing,
we totally work it.
Yeah,
we
and even
totally
like in your
it.
bathroom, there's an invocation to Satan.
Well, yeah, why not? You're sitting there, you might as well do something.
Right. So that's for people that really are entrenched in religion, where Satan really does have power.
Right.
This scares some people. You know, absolutely. And so the people that I was talking to, I live in the South. Where obviously religion is a big deal. And I pointed out, Lucifer, shining light. Lucifer was, God's first free will guy.
Yeah.
And he was like the Norma Ray of heaven, really. He was like, what the
Totally.
hell? Nobody's listening.
Fuck
God,
this shit. Oh, can we swear?
Yeah, you can swear. I like, saying, what's the deal, God? You're like these humans better than me and my guys, and what, that's not cool. And God's like, oh, the humans are so great, and Lucifer's like, great, they suck. They're like totally.
Look at them, they're idiots.
They're idiots. Yeah, exactly. And so he did his little uprising and got the heck out. Like, he formed an angel union, for lack of a,
Pretty much, yeah. I like that Norma Ray thing. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's the best way I know how to describe it. So I was trying to explain that to people, and they still were like, no, Satan is bad. He makes you do horrible things. And I was like,
yeah, he makes you. He makes you.
It's a good excuse.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether or not people believe in God or the devil, that's really not the point. The point is, I'm really here to talk to you because I think, ooh, gosh, that's a beautiful ring.
Oh, thank you.
I think that
diamonds are a girl's best friend.
I'm a ruby girl, personally.
Nice.
Yeah. And if anybody wants
FYI.
to send any in, please.
When's your birthday?
Yeah, April. I'm a diamond baby.
Diamond baby.
Yeah, but I'm a ruby lover.
Anyway,
I think it's just, this is a group of people, atheists, who get a bad rap, as far as I'm concerned, because people think just automatically. And of course,
it
your
takes guts
founder,
to say,
did the Ming the Merciless. I mean, he did look like Ming the Merciless.
He totally. Well, I think, I'm not sure who was fashioned after whom, because the dates. But yeah, I mean, he played it. He worked the whole thing, and he wanted to make a statement. The thing is that I don't know that a lot of people they want, if they just want to write him off as a showman or a charlatan. He really wasn't. He did research, and he formulated somebody just the other day said, well, Satanism isn't a real religion. Oh, yes, it is. We are recognized by the military. We're recognized by anybody who recognizes a religion. Satanism is on there, and the Church of Satan is on there. Not just general Satanism, but the Church of Satan is acknowledged in the chaplain's manual for the military. So we have credibility. Dr. LaVey, we called him doctor.
No disrespect meaning.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think he had a PhD from anywhere. Not like Bill Cosby.
Don't even get me started.
I don't know that Dr. LaVey ever stepped foot in a university at all.
Okay,
I may be talking out my ass because I'm not a historian.
It was an honorary
title. Yeah, we called him that because he liked it, and people call me doctor, and it's fun. I don't discourage it. Yeah. So that's cool.
What does Magistra mean?
There are
within
levels
your organization.
There are rank levels in our organization, and the very top is the high priest and high priestess. The high priest is Peter Gilmore. The high priestess is Peggy Nadramia, and then underneath, the next level down is Magister and Magistra. So I am at the top. I'm as high as I can get without taking that horrible job that I do not want. So. It might be fun for 5 minutes, but I don't think anybody else would like it if I was in charge.
Yeah.
So
why is that?
Gosh, there's a lot of politics to be played, and
any organization.
Human beings, like every organization.
Sure.
Human beings are involved. Feelings are involved. Everybody wants to be part of something great. Nobody wants to feel excluded.
Right.
And it's yeah.
Yeah. So let's give a little background. Church of Satan, founded by Dr. LaVey.
Sure.
And it's sort of from what I can understand, it was an answer to a ruling class of religion.
Pretty much, yeah.
Is that the...
He wanted to establish a religion for people who thought for themselves. He didn't see any kind of contradiction in that, and a lot of people do, and I used to. Because religion is not a good word in my vocabulary. It doesn't have great connotations. But he wanted to codify, and it is, by all definitions of religion, a religion. Our philosophy. It's more than just a philosophy. It is a religion. So, okay. So he wanted to do that for people who thought for themselves, were responsible for themselves. We do have some bullet points. We have 9 satanic statements and 11 rules of earth, and we do have all that stuff. If you want sort of your little sound bites.
Yeah, I'll put those, by the way, on HeyHumanPodcast.com. I'll have links to all that for you guys, so you can.
Thank you.
You guys listening, so you can research on your own. Excellent. With your curious minds.
Yes, you have. Yes.
So what drew you in? Because I am assuming you weren't born into a Church of Satan family.
No.
And you, in fact, that's one of the things the Church of Satan doesn't indoctrinate children.
Right. I was going to throw that in, because that's a big hoo-ha
deal
for us, is we do not involve children.
Right.
We do not include children. We do not indoctrinate children. We exclude them. We take great pains to exclude them. They're not welcome at any kind of whatever ceremonies, rituals, whatever people do. Their kids are not there, and that's really, really important to us, because it's important to let children grow and develop and have their own ideas and expose them to everything, and then let them choose. But this is not something that we're not, we don't have the preschools or any of that, after whatever. Don't get me started. So what was your question? How did I get in here?
How did you get into it?
How did I get in here? I got jumped in here by some friends. I had some friends who were friends with Dr. LaVey, and they said, "Oh boy, Ruth, he sure would love you." And so they made the introduction, and it was
in San Fran?
In San Francisco.
Yeah.
So I got to go up to the house and meet him, and it was just we like a house of fire immediately, just like best friends. And so we stayed friends till his death. I used to go and stay at his house. It was great. It was great fun, and he was just a wonderful, super guy and a great friend. And I never asked to join. I never. We have an application process. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't care. He's my friend. That was cool.
Yeah.
One day I was leaving, and I got handed this envelope, this big envelope, and it had the certificate, and I'm a priestess of the Church of Satan. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Which I think I skipped a rank, because I think just like citizen is the first rank, or active member or something like that. So
and how do you move up in rank?
It's lead by example. It's a meritocracy. So how you move up in rank is you do shit, and you make a positive impression on the people who are bestowing the ranks. So Dr. LaVey made me a priestess, and Peter and Peggy made me a magistra.
Okay.
So that's it's purely arbitrary, but it's all based on your achievements.
Were you raised in a religious family?
Yes and no. I'm a Jew.
Oh, okay.
So, which,
Mazel tov.
thank you, Mazel tov. We're back in danger again. So,
were we ever not?
Exactly. People have been hating us and killing us and hunting us down and beating us with sticks and burning us since there were any. So, yay. But my parents were not particularly religious. My mom kind of got religion, but I was never interested in it, and they weren't awesome parents, but I will give them credit for one really important thing. When I was 4, I have an older brother, and they were sending us to Sunday school, and so they sent us to Sunday school, and one day they were teaching us the story of Jonah and the whale, and I said, that's a fable. It's a story. It didn't really happen. A man can't live inside a whale. So they called Mrs. Waytz. Ring, ring, ring. Mrs. Waytz, will you come and pick up Ruth and never bring her back again? So
critical thinking and religion don't necessarily go hand in hand.
And that's one thing that in one of the principles of Satanism, one of the things we say is that Satanists are born, not made. Even though we don't indoctrinate children, we are who we are. And age 4. That's a story. That's a fable. Yeah.
And that, is that part of why when he founded the religion that he did keep with some of the pomp and circumstance, why there are invocations to Satan, why there are, Baphomet and all that stuff.
I think human beings need that. And the thing is that I did finally read the Satanic Bible, but not early on. I mean, I knew what it was and I knew who he was, obviously, but I never bothered to read it because I wasn't into it. I wasn't into reading anybody's Bible. So I finally picked it up, and it's just very logical statements. And so when I saw him after I read it, I said, "Hey, I read this book. You might be interested." And he said, "Well, what was it?" And then I told him, "Oh, the Satanic Bible. Oh, did you like it?" And I said, "Oh, it's nothing I couldn't have written myself."
Yeah.
Which and I've told this story in other interviews, so forgive me if other people have heard this.
Yeah.
But I really like that story because it's a great illustration of how egomaniacal he was not, and how he just wanted people to get it. This is a mutual admiration society, the Church of Satan. If you are like us, awesome, bring it on. And if you're not like us, fantastic, there's the other side of the street. We're not, again, like other religions where we don't proselytize, we don't recruit, we don't want you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an application process on the website. You can apply. It's an application process. We review you. We don't let everybody in.
Yeah.
We don't have to.
It was fun when I reached out at first online to talk to someone. I think it took me a couple tries to get, and then you called.
Yeah.
But I thought, gosh, I hope they don't think I'm just trying to be an asshole.
Well, we get a lot of that.
That's
we get a lot of crackpot, goofball inquiries.
I would assume so.
And which is just part of the territory.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like something. Excuse me, not like we're angry about it, but it's just part of the territory. But so we do have a screening thing, and we do want to make sure that when we do give our time to somebody, that's not we're not gonna be made fools of later.
Yeah, of course.
So.
Yeah. As I was reading through some of the text, something that struck my eye and my brain was, he said, humans need the darkness. And I often say that without the darkness, you don't understand the light. It's it's an impossibility. You can't, if you were always seeing the light, you wouldn't know what the light was.
Right.
You
couldn't recognize it.
Right. And even if you want to go parables and metaphors and things, even Jesus had to go through hell, right? Like he had to go through his own death. He had to, there are all these other things of knowing the opposite in order to get to the other side. So it's funny that it mirrors that concept, but in a more philosophical. I mean, as I was reading through it, to me, I could have been reading that text in my philosophy class
Absolutely.
in college. I don't know why we were never given this text, because it seems like it should have been part of the process of learning.
Bias. It's just bias.
Yeah. I studied lots of different religions, but certainly not the Church of Satan. So now you made a mention before we turn on the mic that they're, you guys are Church of Satan, not Satan. What was the other one? Satan.
Oh, there's
some other one.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Yeah.
There's a bunch. We've been around for more than 50 years.
So what do you say to people that say, are you not sacrificing babies and stringing up lambs and, eating goat heads or whatever it is?
It's still a good joke. Oh, yeah, come by, murder a goat. But
there are people that behave
still think
that way.
that.
But
and there are people who are doing that.
Sure.
They're bloodletting and other stupid bullshit that's just ridiculous.
But that's their own
That's their shtick.
Yeah.
I
mean, because I've read through the stuff, I didn't see anything where it said to do any of that stuff.
Right. Oh, no. In fact, we're really, really, the few things that I got interviewed last year on NPR, and I said, one of the few things that we really do, the points we want to hit are that we don't sacrifice babies, we don't torture animals,
they're good
we don't
eating.
drink blood.
No,
probably. Probably.
Jonathan Swift said so.
Oh, the modest proposal, absolutely. Yeah. I love that. But that's my personal view, not my official view. But we want to be very clear that we don't murder goats. Or I love goats. Goats are awesome. But the old stereotypes die hard, and for the most part, after the whole satanic panic business happened, and everybody realized that was just bullshit. But it was some pretty scary bullshit while it was going on.
Yeah.
So it's nice to set boundaries, and it does. I do sort of bristle when people talk about baby killing and all that, because I know it's a joke, but do they know it's a joke?
Well, yeah, and that's what perpetuates the mythology. But I mean, even as I was doing the research, I found, as I dug deeper and deeper, the MK Ultra stuff. They were saying that LaVey was part of the MK Ultra. You know, the mind
did
control.
do some homework. I like this.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
Yeah. I'm a curious brain.
Yay.
I can't help myself.
I like it.
So,
well, I mean, just the thing that I also say, which is a difficult concept for a lot of us, is that the majority of human beings, non-Satanists, just to the general public, they only have so much bandwidth for what's not part of their daily reality. How much do Presbyterians know about, I don't know who else, Zoroastrians. I mean, how much?
Well, in the Catholic Church, in the Protestant Church, it's got a very bloodied history.
Oh well, all churches, except
and so did the Jews. No, even the Jews. There were certain sects of Jews that ran around killing people.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
Didn't,
Yeah.
I mean,
the only one that hasn't killed anybody is the Satanists.
Yeah,
we haven't killed anybody.
Yeah. Although people have killed in the name of that.
Yeah, but people have killed in the name of a lot of things.
Well, that's the point.
It's no more Jesus' fault than it's our fault.
That's the point I'm trying to make. Is that you can stand behind anything with a knife in your hand. It doesn't mean that whatever.
Right. It doesn't mean you have tacit approval.
Right. Exactly.
But
so what is it that was it the free will? What drew you in? I mean, what?
Well, I'm already thinking like this.
Yeah.
This is already my personal philosophy, and so all my friends, I've been friends with Peter and Peggy for decades, and I met them through Dr. LaVey at his house, and we just became great friends, and really they're some of the closest friends I have. It's just like-minded individuals, and when I did finally read Satanic Bible, it's just my personal philosophy. So what drew me in was I was already in.
Yeah, you're already living in.
Yeah.
What I thought also was fun was that they're basically the tenet of we are in corpus, we might as well have fun while we're here.
Yeah, this is all you get.
Yeah.
This is and if it's not all you get, well, boy howdy, will my face be red? But I mean, there's really the evidence I see supports that there's only the here and now, and that anything that promises you anything else is just lying to you, to try to keep you docile or to manipulate you, to keep you scared. It's stupid and it's pointless.
See, I believe I'm way out there. I believe in reincarnation, so I believe that this corpus gets to do whatever it does in this life, and then gets to do it again in the next one, and as we keep going. But everybody's got their own. Well,
yeah, you can believe what you want to believe, and
absolutely.
And I love to quote L. Ron Hubbard, famous kook, because nobody's wrong all the time. He said, "What's true for you is true." So
absolutely,
why not? Yeah. I don't have enough to support reincarnation for me. That's another thing the Church of Satan doesn't believe in the supernatural.
Right.
There's anything that we can conceptualize, that we can see, is natural.
Right.
There's paranormal.
Experience is very paramount.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, that's how I came to my belief system, is through my own experience, and I do like the idea of that. You know what I believe, and that's my business, and it doesn't matter.
That's your only job.
And at the end of the day, who cares what I believe, really?
Totally.
And who cares what you believe?
Absolutely. That's your only job, is to be yourself.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that, for sure. I'm trying to go through, I read all this stuff, I'm trying to go through all the different things that stuck out to me that I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it really is, it's a very live and let live culture.
Absolutely. This is something that we're really proud of, and like to bring up the whole LGBTQ, all of this tolerance thing. Anton LaVey in the 60s wrote things about whatever consenting adults do. And he was big on consent, but he was also big on do your thing, It's just be you.
Yeah, and don't hurt anyone.
And don't hurt anybody.
Yeah,
get consent.
Which I think for the listeners, they're probably like, wait, what? Right.
Well, this is the great thing, is when you start talking to people about this and they start thinking about, well, wait a minute, you guys aren't bad. Somebody said, you're too happy to be a Satanist to me. Okay. That's kind of what it's about.
I know some pretty miserable Catholics.
Oh, well, yeah.
And Jews,
yeah.
honestly.
Well, there's miserable people out there.
Guilt is a heavy-duty tool.
Guilt is bullshit. Yeah, guilt is absolute bullshit.
It's a good tool to control,
don't have any of that.
It's a great tool to control people.
Yeah, guilt and fear.
So, I know you're a Magistra, but then you were given the Witch of the Year title, so are you also a witch? So how does that work?
Well, witch is kind of a generic term.
Okay.
I like it. I embrace it. I definitely call myself a witch. It's not required. People in the church are, by the way, now that you're in the Church of Satan, you sir are a warlock, and you ma'am are a witch. It's not that.
Here's your carrot.
Right, exactly.
To put on your nose.
Yeah, to put on your nose, exactly. Here's your pointy hat. Where's my pointy hat? I'm still waiting for my orb and scepter for this Witch of the Year business, but I did get some lovely prizes.
That is one of my favorite Monty Python sketches. Was with the she's a witch.
She's a witch.
How do you know she's a witch?
She floats.
She floats. Yes. And she's a duck.
Yes.
And
yes.
all of it's
if
a great
she's not
sketch.
a duck. Yep.
Yeah.
So what about the Witch of the Year? What was the question?
I was asking the difference between.
Am I a witch?
Are you a witch? Yeah.
I think it's one of those. Anybody can call himself a witch, or herself a witch. Plenty of us do. But Magistra is a specific title and rank, and witch is just witch.
Yeah.
So somebody who was the Witch of the Year thing was started by one of our members, and as part of her podcast, and so she can pick anybody at all from within the Church of Satan, because it's a thing for us. So, but Witch of the Year, it could just be because witch is one of the ranks. I think that's the first one. I think it's witch, and then priestess, and then. I don't know. Somebody's going to have to... Yeah, now I'm going to get kicked right out. This is not the stuff that concerns me. So, but which is a title. But even so, somebody who's just a member, if that person's accomplishments for the year warrant it, that person can be nominated, and there's a nomination, and there's voting, and there's all kinds of craziness. But so anybody could be Witch of the Year. So you're I guess this is a long way of saying your specific title and rank within the organization is irrelevant to this title. This.
Do you celebrate Christmas, and as a Jew often does?
I never really got into it. I didn't get out of it, but I've never had a Christmas tree in my life.
You don't hang one upside down from the
No,
ceiling?
I don't do any of that. I don't do any of the upside down. Well, I don't do the upside down cross. I don't do the upside down.
Which is a part of the symbolism.
No, it's not.
Well,
a lot of Satanists, a lot of people use the upside down cross, but for me, Satanism isn't the opposite of Christianity. It's not the opposite of anything. So why would you invert a symbol? You're still using a cross. Right. I don't use a cross.
Right. Okay.
So
what is your daily routine as someone in the Church of Satan? How it might vary, or maybe it doesn't vary at all. I mean, it's.
Yeah, my daily routine is my routine.
It's just what it is.
Satanism is my personal philosophy. It's what informs everything I do. But I don't as a Satanist. Although I will tell you, excellent parking. Anytime I go someplace, I pull right up at the very front and yell, "Hail Satan!" So that is, as a Satanist, me going through the world. Yeah. But pretty much, I don't say, "Oh, I'm going to the grocery store. How would a Satanist pick this avocado? Yeah. Which is the best? Which is the best pumpkin? Pumpkin." But
so okay, but what you said in there, I want to stop and go. Okay, there you go. So when I'm parking, I'm thinking, "Come on, parking gods." Show me a space. So it's basically...
Right, same thing.
Yeah, it's manipulating energy. And I know that in one of the things I listened to, an interview with you, you talked about that, about the manipulation of energy.
Yeah, that's my deal.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in that as well. I think everything has an energetic frequency, and you can move through this world manipulating that energy to your will, should you know how to use it for good,
aware.
Kids.
Yeah, use your powers for good.
Yes, but talk about that, because I think it's a really fascinating subject.
Yeah, it's a really, that is something that informs everything I do. I am mindful to the extent that anyone's possibly, that it's possible to be that all the time, but I make a lot of effort for that. I meditate, and I do make a lot of effort to be mindful and be aware of my surroundings and situations, and I set my intentions. If I want something, I get it. And it is because I know I already have it. It's that whole well begun is half done, or something like that, except kind of the opposite. Begin with the end in your sights. So that's kind of what I do.
In other words, picture that it's already happened.
Yeah. Just, and not even picture it, but just actually live it as if it's already happened. It's because picturing it is still in front of you, and I have it sort of all around me. I'm already in there. So it's, this is what I need, this is what I want. And if I'm working towards something, then I just assume it's already done, and this is just like the last bit of it.
I think once a person understands, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, which is the only person I really can speak
That's
for,
true.
but in that energy, in that space of for lack of a better word, manifestation, that when you understand how that works, you are I am oftentimes contented with exactly what I have. I mean, it actually gives you a sense of peacefulness. Mm-hmm.
I'm a very happy person.
Yeah, but I find the people that do understand how that is, I feel like those people are more contented with their surroundings and in life. Mm-hmm. Because they're working with the flow instead of against it.
Yeah. I had a yoga teacher who used to say, it's easier to ride a horse in the direction it's going.
That's a great saying.
Totally true.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah. And that really, that is if there are things that I live by, it's that. Yeah. I always tell people to examine resistance in their life. Yeah. If there's too much resistance, then maybe you shouldn't be doing maybe this isn't the thing. Yeah. Do something else.
Yeah. So. I always say it's easy to find a horse when everyone's riding fences.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I wrote that into one of my songs.
That's cool. Yeah. That's very cool. But yeah, same principle. It's just you don't bang your head against a wall. And I do counsel people. I do have like clients who come to me for advice and pay me good money to hear me talk.
Like a life coach? What do you mean?
Yeah, I hate that expression, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only word that popped in my brain.
It's
so
a horrible.
I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But
that's
that's exactly it. Is one of my superpowers is I can spend about half an hour with you and tell you exactly what you need to be doing with your life and show you how to do it.
That's a great superpower.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
If people listen.
If they listen. And
but I imagine they come to you willing.
They're still human beings.
Yeah.
They still have fear. They still have resistance. And it's a really interesting thing to be that person. I have a friend who does this much more in the kind of the woo-woo axis. Uh-huh. He calls himself a guru, and what he does is he helps people with their spiritual awakening, and that might be a bit far for me because it's kind of a fine line, because what does the word spiritual mean? And this has been a discussion I've been having with a lot of people, because spiritual, if you break it down to an actual definition, it's a theistic word. Mm-hmm. But as an atheist, you'll meet people, they say, oh, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. Mm-hmm. And what that means is I'm not an asshole. Mm-hmm. They want you to think that they're not an asshole. I'm spiritual. I'm a good person. I care about shit. But spirit, I don't believe in a spirit. Or do I? I don't know. But it's not, if I believe in, I know what I believe in, and it is more about the energy and the flow of energy, and just the stuff the what you can actually have experience with, mm-hmm. and the facts that are born in you. But spirit, no, I don't believe in a spirit. So.
Did LaVey, does he decide to create the Church of Satan because he was like, religions make a lot of money? Or, I mean, was that
well, he didn't make a lot of money.
He didn't?
He was not smart with money.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I know, like, L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh, L. Ron Hubbard, on the other hand.
Yeah, he was like, that's a cash cow.
Yeah, well, and L. Ron Hubbard specifically did that for the lark and for the money. Yeah. And it's another, Scientology is another sort of self-realization religion, except it's beyond the kernel of the actual, of those writings. It's just a massive clusterfuck. It's a horrible black hole of abuse and manipulation.
Allegedly.
I can say it. They can come get me. They can come get me all they fucking want. But
it's a very powerful organization.
Yeah. Well, it used to be a lot worse. Yeah. It used to be
I've watched
before
all
the internet.
The documentaries.
Oh yeah.
Holy moly.
Well, the internet was the great equalizer for them. Yeah. Because before the internet, they went after people. I would be in deep shit for saying what I just said. They would show up at my door. They would call the IRS on me. They would close my bank accounts. They would put dead animals on my doorstep. They would do all kinds of horrible shit. Call your work, which good luck with that. Yeah. But
yeah. Were you agnostic or atheist as a younger person before discovering all of this?
Atheist. I never ever had a moment of, that's possible.
Okay, so why? Why be an atheist? Does that mean because
I don't I don't think it was my choice. I didn't. Well, I mean, I am a student of many religions as well. It's fascinating to me, human nature and all of its weird and fucked up manifestations, and religion. Certainly Eastern religions. I'm all about the Hindu stuff. There's a million Ganeshas here in the house.
My fave.
Yeah, but he removes obstacles. He's the good dude. He's the good dude.
I have one in front of every door at my house.
Good for you. Yeah. Good for you. So I'm fascinated by that. How the human brain manifests that, what it needs, because that is obviously a need of human beings, of most human beings, is to have this process. So I'm interested in that process. I've always been interested in that process. I was obsessed with the Catholic Church when I was a kid, because y'all are zombies. You believe in zombies and y'all are cannibals. Yeah.
When you really dig in.
Oh yeah, transubstantiation is cannibalism.
Ghosts.
Yep.
All that.
Virgin rape.
But you have to, absolutely. Which, they,
they
like Leda and the Swan was virgin rape. I mean, there's
totally.
If you go back far enough, you can see the story, the virgin birth reoccurring, the eating of the body reoccurring, the flood story, Mesopotamia. It goes on and on and on.
It's human beings. Yeah. That's their mechanism to explain things.
And when you're starting a new religion, the best way to get that is to get the people in the old religion to get on board.
That's why there's Christmas. Jesus wasn't born in December.
Of course not. No.
Yeah, that's why there's Christmas.
No, I'm
they wanted all
letters.
those.
Damn it!
Well, but I mean, do your homework,
people.
Do your
homework. Yeah. And
I'm not making this shit up.
Biblical scholars have said this over and over again.
Oh,
this
if you're
an
into that,
anti-Jesus thing. This is been documented time and
time
again.
I'm not making this up. And it's not news. I'm not the first to say
news.
it. But have you looked into the Kabbalah? Because the Kabbalah is trippy.
Kabbalah is very interesting. The Tree of Life is very interesting.
Yeah. The Hebrew mysticism is very trippy.
Super groovy.
Yeah. So I'm
We're
into all of it.
Kabbalist neighbor, around California. I feel like California's got all this stuff.
We have everything. Yeah. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
It's the total vortex of weirdness, and it has been for centuries.
Yeah.
So I mean, even with the Parsons thing, the Jack Parsons thing in Pasadena. Pasadena is weird. If you have a chance, you should go to Pasadena, because there's a gates of hell in Pasadena.
Please explain.
It's sort of a dam by the Arroyo, and I think if you put Gate of Hell in Google, it'll probably bring it up.
And what is it?
It's just a weird energy there. You should go and feel it. It's cool.
I remember when I was in high school reading articles in the paper or whatever about, because there was no Google,
right?
About holes in the earth that they'd lower people down to work on lines or something, and they'd come back up with white hair, and they saw thing and they went insane or this and that's. I should research that now that I have the internet to see if that's still a thing, or
I
if
love
that was
crazy
just
stories like that.
I do too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's super fun.
It's very fun to read about all that. I'm trying to.
So I forgot the question.
No, I did too. So always an atheist.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was the question. Was there ever a moment when you believed in? No. And I mean, we went to temple on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and all that stuff, and they weren't super religious, my parents, so they didn't go for the lots of the holidays. But I remember going for Purim and Simchas Torah and all this other stuff, and it was just nothing landed with me at all. And the idea that as soon as the idea of God was expressed to me, I was like, no, I don't think so.
What do you think about it that was abhorrent to you?
It's not abhorrent.
Oh, it's not.
No, I just think
you made a face.
I just think it's not real.
Sort of like an abhorrent face.
Well, interesting. It's just not real. It never struck me as that's real, but I don't like it.
Right.
That's real. I need to rebel against it. It never struck me as real at all.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. Well, it's funny because I find it fascinating that people will argue why someone should or should not believe in religion. It makes me giggle. I'm like, why does anybody care?
Well, you should wear plaid.
Well, why does anybody care?
You should drive a Volkswagen.
Yeah, exactly. And I get it that there are things written into tenets of religion that say, get more of us.
Well, yeah, they want more.
Yeah,
because they're the one true thing, and everybody else is. Sure. And I love it. Not everybody else is an asshole. Everybody else is doomed. Everybody else is. We're saving you from this damnation and hellfire.
No one saved me from that last piece of chocolate cake.
That's right.
Where were you then?
Yeah, leave me alone. I'll
ate
face
the
the
entire carton of ice cream. No one came to the door.
That's right. So
Save me from that.
Save me. Oh.
Y'all don't publicize your membership, so nobody knows how many people are in the Church of Satan. You don't.
Do you want to know why?
Yeah, well, I assume it's because it's misunderstood, right? Or
well, it kind of, it's an interesting thing. I actually, on that NPR thing, Peter, our high priest, said that, he encapsulated it beautifully. He said that that if we give a number, then some people, if the number is too high, people are going to freak out. If the number is too low, people are going to just dismiss us. So it's higher than you'd think, is all I'll say.
Yeah. Right.
So
it's bigger than a breadbasket.
It's definitely bigger than a breadbasket.
Are you able to actually say what the tenets are of the Church of Satan?
Oh, the 9 satanic statements?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'd have to get up and get a piece of paper.
Oh, okay. Well, do you catch just off the cuff? Is there any
well, the first one is Satan represents indulgence rather than abstinence.
Mm-hmm. That's got to appeal to a lot more people.
Yeah, well, I think so. Well, but first you have to be free.
Yeah.
I mean, the Church of Satan is about freedom. And this is for me, it's about freedom and joy. I am free to do what I want and be what I want and say what I want. I have a 100% honesty policy, which doesn't always sit well with people, but you know what? Tough.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of honesty.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I should have brought that piece of paper over here because I'm not good with memorizing.
Well, do you want to grab it?
Yeah. You want to?
Okay,
yeah. Let me go grab it.
All right.
All right. I'm not big on reading, but I will. Okay. So the 9 satanic statements originally appeared in the Satanic Bible, copyright 1969. Satan, number 1, Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. Number 2, I feel like David Letterman. Satan represents vital existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams.
Okay, so what does that mean to you?
What that means to me is that we're here now. We have to grab life by the throat and wring out every bit of it, because everything else is just bullshit. It's promised. Number 3, Satan represents undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit.
Which, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
What does that mean to you?
What that means to me is I often say, somebody interviewed me and said, what does Satan mean to you? And I said, Satan is the big says who button in the universe. It's just, you take a minute, somebody says something to you, and they say it to you expecting you to believe it, and it could be something small, it could be something huge, but says who? Satanism is about taking that moment and stepping back and saying, was that true, or is that just some shit? Mm-hmm. So, because other people want you to believe things for their own reasons.
Yeah, and I think internally that's a huge thing.
It is.
Because we tell ourselves all sorts of bullshit.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. So it's undefiled wisdom is important. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. So, and it's one of the things that we prize. Number 4, Satan represents kindness to those who deserve it instead of love wasted on ingrates.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah. I mean, the whole, yes, we need to love everybody. Yeah, sure, why not? But if somebody fucks with you, you don't have to love them. We don't turn the other cheek.
Okay.
We say that pretty quickly you run out of cheeks. So
I only got 4.
Exactly. So we don't sugarcoat shit.
Yeah.
When people wrong you, then that needs to be acknowledged and dealt with.
Well, I think this, we just had the weekend with Charlottesville, and so now I've brought this up in 3 podcasts today that will be airing at various times. But that's a good example of the president who, that was an ample opportunity to say, you know what, that kind of
bullshit will not be tolerated.
And he didn't.
Yeah.
And that was to put a big, what the fuck across the entire, really, world.
Yeah.
I mean, not just this country. Yeah. I saw tweets from all over the world, what?
Oh, yeah. The whole world doesn't know what the hell to make of what's going on here.
Nobody does.
Yeah. Nobody does.
That's an interesting,
Yeah, that was...
It's okay to say, you know what, you're being an ass.
Well, I mean...
And to stand up for... it's also standing up for the underdog, I feel like.
As a Jew, Nazis marched in Skokie when I was a kid. And, I understood even then. I know what the First Amendment is. They have a right to march.
Sure.
The only thing we can do is shine light on them.
Yeah, it's true.
It's horrible.
It is horrible. No, it is. Hey, my father, who is Jewish, his parents... and his aunt and uncle, I think two aunts and 2 uncles total. They all came to America in the late 1800s, early 1900s to New York. and the rest of the family was murdered.
Yeah.
So basically, my entire family on my father's side was murdered in World War II.
Yep.
And not only were they murdered, but every ounce of their existence was erased.
Yes.
So there's no birth certificates.
We don't know who they are.
We don't know
what they did. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in high school and I was doing a genealogy project for my class, and all the kids were like, "These are my grandparents, and these are their grandparents."
And it goes back 92 generations.
Yeah,
we got a pile of ashes.
Yeah, if that. It probably not even
and
that.
Not even that.
Yeah, and so on my mother's side, it went back quite far. On my father's side, the brakes were loud as fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, because they just
because that shit happened.
Yeah.
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 And so I think that, too, in light of this past weekend, yes, the First Amendment is incredibly important. And you can't say it's okay here and not okay here. You have to unilaterally say...
Though. There's rules about demonstrating. You can't drive a car into people.
You can't drive a car into people. You are not to incite violence
and
or
I'll
riot.
Say something that's going to get you in a lot of trouble. If that guy had a turban on his head, he'd be under the jail now. Because he'd be a terrorist.
No, that's not going to get me into trouble. I'll say that freely. First of all, if the people marching with torches were black, they'd all be dead.
They'd be dead.
And if the guy driving the car was was brown or whatever, he'd be labeled a terrorist. Which, by the way, he absolutely is a terrorist.
They all are.
And he'd also be dead. There would be there's
no question about it.
Come on,
so this is just
and anyone that thinks, and you know what, I might lose listeners for that, but I'm okay with that.
Too bad.
Yeah, but I encourage you to stick around and listen and get mad.
Yes, because I'm only at number 4.
Yeah.
All right, number 5. Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. See, I'm not just making this stuff up.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. So Satan represents vengeance.
Right.
That's a big ass word.
Yeah.
Vengeance.
Yeah.
So how do you stand behind that word? Because how is that not being just like the guy that you know what I mean? Like, vengeance is a tricky word. What does that mean to you?
It is, and it certainly can be massaged in context. But I mean, I think it's both really clear and really ambiguous at the same time. Because I mean, if somebody fucks with you, if somebody is it wrongs you, steals from you, breaks into your house, does these things, you're gonna want to get revenge, and within the limits of the law and all that stuff. I mean, I'm not saying go and murder somebody, but Satanism is absolutely about owning your feelings, all the good ones and all the bad ones, and mitigating them, and managing them, and living through them, and also there's vengeance and there's vengeance. I mean, if a girlfriend of mine is going through a divorce, so that's what just jumped into my head. So if your husband has taken your child and fled the state and done these horrible things, then your vengeance can be, I'm calling a lawyer, and I'm calling a private investigator, and there's real world actions you can take. But within the Church of Satan, we also, our members ritualize. There's a destruction ritual in the Satanic Bible.
Let's talk about that for a second,
okay?
Because that's really interesting.
Yeah, and that's really cool. That's a way to use what we were talking about, the energy manipulation. That's a way to release any hostility. You could do a destruction ritual. You could do a compassion ritual. You could do your own rituals. I write on my own. I was invited to help out with a compassion ritual for somebody, and I had to get the book. I don't know. All my rituals, I write them myself.
But talk about the room, because I thought, man, everyone needs this room.
Oh, my living room?
No, the room of where you go and get all your shit out. Like,
the ritual chamber? Well, you make that.
Yeah.
We don't have churches. We don't have specific buildings. So your ritual chamber is your ritual chamber.
Right.
It's your bedroom, it's your bathroom, it's your front closet, it's your basement, it's wherever.
But what it means, I think, is what I'm getting at. Not the actual physical structure, but what the purpose of it is to remove it out of your body, your anger, your sadness, your hostility.
It's your catharsis.
Yeah. There's that. That's a good word. Catharsis.
It is absolutely to work through whatever it is you have and just finally get it the fuck off your back.
Right.
So,
because turning the other cheek, while noble, I suppose, it doesn't really
it accomplishes nothing.
And it, not only that, but and I am a pacifist in some ways, but also an anarchist in others.
I totally agree.
So in that, I think the unfortunate byproduct of always turning the other cheek means you're shoving down the emotion, and then
That's
like
right. And
like anything else, one day you will snap.
Yeah, of course. And it's not healthy. It's not right. You shouldn't be doing it.
It's a cancer.
It is. It totally is.
Yeah.
And so for us, we don't want to have anything to do with that. We want to name it and deal with it and get it the fuck moved on.
Right.
So that's yay. So okay. So that's okay. Responsibility. That was 5. That's vengeance. Okay. 6. Satan represents responsibility to the responsible instead of concern for psychic vampires.
What does that mean to you?
What that means is we choose our friends. And we surround ourselves with the people that we want to live our lives with. Life is short. So we don't waste our time on people who waste our time. So
it's a very good philosophy.
Yeah.
It leaves room for growing past people, which
it really does.
Happens.
It does. It happens. And it's just part of it. Everyone wants to put value judgments on all of these things, and it's just not the right question.
Right.
It's what happened. Nothing happened.
Right.
This is the flow, and people come and go out of your life, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So, all right. So number 7, Satan represents man as just another animal, sometimes better, more often worse than those that walk on all fours, who, because of his divine, spiritual, and intellectual development, has become the most vicious animal of all.
We are very vicious.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the only ones that use tools, but
No.
we certainly are the most vicious.
We sure aren't learning anything.
No. Our ego is pretty powerful.
Yeah. So and then, when you get frustrated with any organization, it's just, human beings. There's really a limit to our capability. And a big difference between Satanism and other religion, Christianity or other religions try to reverse engineer your human nature. Oh, you have to resist sin. You have to resist temptation. Why? It's part of being a human being. It's fun.
Well,
Why would I resist it?
Statistically, it doesn't work.
Of course it doesn't work. Abstinence totally doesn't work.
Example.
Yep.
Teaching abstinence, in fact, makes
it makes it worse.
It makes it worse.
Because now these kids are ignorant and they're fucking.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and it turns it into something that
or taking
don't
drugs
touch that. Don't touch that.
Oh.
You know how to get a kid to do anything? Tell them they can't.
Oh well, this is my big quote. There's a quotable Ruth, and one of them is, "To forbid is to recommend."
Yes. So, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's true across every platform.
Yes. If you want your kids to do something like take out the dishes, then forbid them from ever
tell them that that's your favorite thing and they can't ever do it.
Don't ever touch the dishwasher.
Yeah.
They'll be putting them away. They'll be putting them away like crazy.
I don't know about the dishwasher. They're a little smarter than that. But,
that's the best thing that popped in my head. I think as I could hear I'm like, dishwasher.
My brother and I accused our parents of having children so they would never have to wash dishes.
I think all parents understand that labor rule thing.
All right, so number 8, moving on. Satan represents all of the so-called sins, as they all lead to physical, mental, or emotional gratification. So, which is
the deadly sins.
All the sins.
Okay.
It says
what about
all
murder?
of the. Well, I mean, Satan is the repository of all of these things. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it depends on if you think that murder is a sin. Mm-hmm. Is a soldier murdering somebody?
That's
it's all a gray area.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
But it's more of the the pride, wrath, envy, gluttony, sloth, all those other sins.
All the fun stuff.
But lead me not into temptation.
Yeah.
Actually, lead me.
Murder's not a sin, is it?
No, it's not.
No, that's right.
No.
And that's
it's
a commandment.
It's a commandment.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah, total difference.
But I'm with you on that. That's a great. If anybody ever wants to get into a great, interesting debate, not a fight, but just an interesting debate, is debate whether or not soldiers and murderers and
it's killing.
Right. It's and abortion and the people that kill people that are abortion doctor. All that stuff is all one big. Yeah, it's such a fascinating conversation.
It is. It is a lengthy one as well.
For sure.
All right, so number 9, we've read to Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had, as he's kept it in business all these years. And it's what you were saying before about the balance between darkness and light.
Sure.
If the church doesn't have a big stick to threaten you with,
Yeah.
if they don't have hell to threaten you with, or the devil to carry you away, or any of that stuff, then how are they supposed to compel you to behave? Well, we believe that you're supposed to compel yourself to behave.
Right.
That you're in charge. I say the only behavior I control is my own.
Yeah.
And you're in charge of your existence.
And what if the expulsion of Lucifer from heaven is actually the same thing as the expulsion of man from the Garden of Eden? It's just a representative of
It's
free
the same
will.
story.
It's the
Exactly.
free will
It's
being
free will.
born.
And it's free will being punished. That's the key to
It's
it
the
for
grand
me.
irony.
Is when you think for yourself, and that's all over the 9 statements about undefiled wisdom. When you think for yourself, when you take responsibility for yourself, when you say, I'm in charge of this body, you get punished.
Yeah.
Religion punishes you.
But it's a weird irony, because God gives you free will, and then when you exercise free will, you get in trouble for it.
Proof to me that there's no God.
Yeah. Well, I love circular arguments. They're fun. So.
All right, so do you want the 11 satanic rules of the earth?
Sure.
All right, we'll go faster.
But really quick, I have to tell you,
yeah.
when I first moved to Nashville, we would throw these great parties, and one of the best party I ever had, and I think many people in Nashville can still attest to this, because people, all these years later, bring it up. 7 Deadly Sin party. We had it on 777. So
excellent.
Yeah, and it was, and people, you could come to the party. There was like 300 people there, and you had to come as your favorite sin, and it was. Babies were actually made at that party. I'm pretty sure.
I would hope, because lust.
We built a confessional, and our friend was a priest, and people came in and gave their confessions to the priest. And he said after the party, he said, "I had no idea so many people had priest fetishes," because he made out with a lot of ladies. But we had like a 7 Minutes in Heaven closet, and people were walking around with buckets of chicken, eating it with like their robes.
So
and
great.
There were dominatrix, and it was the best.
Now I'm mad at you for not inviting me.
Oh, God. If I had known you, you'd have been welcome. It was such a
I would have
great
gone
party.
to Nashville for that. That sounds groovy.
It was super fun.
That is groovy.
777.
So yeah,
Of course you have
indulge. I mean, why do you think we have these urges? We're just animals.
Sure.
Yeah. And to punish yourself and feel guilty and make yourself feel bad,
Right.
it's just
Well,
it's counterproductive.
It's a powerful tool for those who want to
manipulate you.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in being manipulated.
Yeah, it's not very Jesus-y either, by the way.
No, it's not very Jesus-y.
Not very Christ
well,
consciousness.
yeah, the whole thing is just hypocrisy.
I'm a big fan of Jesus, personally.
He seems like a cool dude.
Yeah.
I like that Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah, I would love to hang out with him, and Yeah.
And I don't think he was fictional. I think the whole Son of God thing was fictional, but I think he existed.
I believe that Jesus existed. I also believe he was a scholar that learned a lot of things about mysticism and Eastern philosophy,
he went off and disappeared all those years that the Christians don't really want to talk about. All that Essene stuff, the lost years of Jesus, where he went and lived. So, they don't want you to know about that.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, for anything, no matter what you believe in, it's fine. I mean, absolutely, everyone is entitled to their belief system. My only thing is, I also kneel at the temple of the mind. It's like, be curious.
Yeah,
learn what the words mean.
Yeah,
that you're learn some Hebrew, learn some ancient Greek. Just a couple words. Even it will open up a vast array of understanding.
That's true. That is very true.
Words.
Just a couple words in any new language, and learn something about something that isn't you. Find out something you don't already know.
An opposite point of view is a healthy thing to learn about.
Always. Well, and that's the other thing that I always say, that the Christians are so afraid of us. They're so threatened by us. They're so fragile that our mere existence threatens them on a daily basis. We're
Fox News doesn't like you very much.
No,
you know that.
Tough. I don't care for them either. But unlike them,
I saw a couple of those interviews. I was like, what?
Unlike them, I am able to live and let live until you come until you tell me I can't live my life. We have limits.
Yeah.
But other religions existing don't threaten me. I'm interested in them. I study them. I learn about them.
Sure.
But do they sit down and I mean, you took a comparative religions class. You had a minor in it. Did anybody even say the S word to you? Nope.
No, that was not part of what we studied.
No.
Which is interesting. I even studied Mesopotamian religion, for God's sake.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I say God. All right, so let's buzz through these. Okay, number 1, do not give opinions or advice unless you are asked.
That's a tough one.
Yep. Number 2, do not tell your troubles to others unless you are sure they want to hear them. Number 3, when in another's lair, show him respect or do not go there. Number 4, if a guest in your lair annoys you, treat him cruelly and without mercy. See, I kind of
that's you. I
deviate. I mean, Anton LaVey was a very funny man.
Yeah, what I've read about him is he had a very good
sense of humor, and that's when people ask me what he was like. Usually the first thing I say was he was really funny.
Yeah.
And as the years roll away, and the words say on the paper, it's treat him cruelly and without mercy. He was pretty much kidding.
Was he part of the MK Ultra stuff? Because I know that was
I don't know.
They declassified a lot of that stuff.
I don't know. I have no information.
Somebody that understands, how to manipulate a situation, I would imagine.
He was a curious mind.
Right.
He was a well-read person.
Right.
None of this was accidental or thrown together or any of that. So I don't specifically know.
Okay.
And unlike a lot of people, I don't have an agenda. Yes, he definitely was part of it. No, he definitely wasn't. I really don't know.
Right.
You're free to explore and let me know.
Yeah.
So,
it's hard to trust anything on the internet. But
yeah. Well, yeah, because there's everything there. Okay, number 5, do not make sexual advances unless you are given the mating signal. Number 6, do not take that which does not belong to you unless it is a burden to the other person and he cries out to be relieved.
That's great.
Number 7, acknowledge the power of magic if you have employed it successfully to obtain your desires. If you deny the power of magic after having called upon it with success, you will lose all you have obtained. So
that's grace.
I love that
right
one.
There. That's an example of grace.
Yep. Number 8, do not complain about anything to which you do not need to subject yourself. Now, this is one that I counsel people all the time. Do you need this in your life?
Yeah.
How much do you need this in your life?
And people oftentimes, we're all carrying our own crosses around. And then and then saying to everyone, look at my cross.
Oh, yeah, look at this.
Look how heavy that is. Look, it's covered with, nails and things.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
This is a free will planet, and that's your choice.
Yeah.
So, number 9, do not harm little children. Number 10, do not kill non-human animals unless you are attacked or for your food. Number 11, when walking in open territory, bother no one. If someone bothers you, ask him to stop. If he does not stop, destroy him.
All right.
So, there's that.
And again, those are philosophically speaking, it's pretty common sense. You could use other language.
Common sense. When I lecture people, usually the first question, I've lectured at universities, usually the first question is, well, this all makes perfect sense under humanism or common sense or personal whatever. Why do you use the S word? Because it's stupid. But it's not stupid. It has
reaction.
Impact.
Yeah.
And it's one of the very few words in the English language that does have impact anymore. Do you want to hear the other two? Nigger and cunt.
Yeah. Oh, I love
look
the word
at look at your face though.
Yeah, the N word.
I don't ever say those.
But
I say cunt though.
I love cunt.
But I don't use the other one because it's...
Now I'm going to trigger warn this damn episode.
Oh, trigger warning. But that's exactly my point. Satan is the third word.
Yeah.
You can't say that word without a response.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons he chose it. The other is all the things we were talking about. That Satan represents the adversary, the says who.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. I know better.
Right. I just had this conversation yesterday about the fact that, like, for example, when Harper Lee, wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, and then To Set a Watchman also has the N-word in it,
Mm-hmm.
and people are like, oh, you can't. You take that out. Take that. It's like, no, it's historically appropriate.
You can't take it out. It doesn't make it go away.
Yeah, and the minute you start removing this history, then you're bound to repeat it.
We're banning Huckleberry Finn.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's totally
and
stupid.
I think that many African Americans would agree with me on this.
I hope so.
Yeah, I've had conversations.
Well, and it bothers me that they use that word for themselves. I was walking down the street the other day and I heard two guys talking, and one of them, that was the conversation. Yeah. And I was
I feel like it's not up to me. I don't get to make that call.
But I wouldn't call you a kike or a yid or any of those things. Hey, I've got to round up my yids and go out and whatever.
Although I think I remember the cunt is a great example. So many people recoil. I agree. And in other countries, it's like means buddy or guy or whatever.
Well,
for them,
kind
it's
of a
their
doofus.
slang.
The Brits.
Yeah.
He's
it's like he's
an asshole. Yeah.
And when I had a band and we were traveling around, and my bass player, who happened to be is a female, she still is.
Yeah.
And well, anymore, you never know.
Yeah, that's true. Everything's flux.
Yeah, we're in fluid motion.
Yeah.
But I said something just jokingly, and I used the word cunt, and she's like, "Oh, don't use that word." I said, "Why?" And she said, "It's a terrible word." I said, "Is it?"
It's just a
and
word.
then I said, "Tell you what," and there were 4 of us in the vehicle, guys and girls, and I said, "For the next 5-10 minutes, let's use the word cunt as an adjective, a noun, a verb,
I'm
whatever."
sure that was a great, fun conversation.
It was super fun, and we all did it, and everybody giggled and laughed, and at the end of the time, I said, "Okay, time's up." I said, "Now,
how do you feel,
Lizzie, how do you feel about that word?" She's like, "Oh, it doesn't feel the same." I'm like,
yeah,
exactly.
Well, Lenny Bruce,
so
Lenny Bruce, before you were born, he
Right.
did a routine about that. He said nigger, 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 like a million times. And
the cat just looked up at you like, "Excuse me."
My cat's black.
Yeah, the cat's like, "You don't get to use that word."
You can't say that.
But I mean,
He's
I get
a feline
it,
American.
and I get it. I understand. But for if I'm white, you're white, you know, and say, so we don't get to make that call. I feel like
probably,
you know what I
probably.
mean? It's
But
just
the
like,
point is, it is just a word.
It is, but it's a pretty hot.
Words have, they definitely have power.
Yeah, and
So-
in the wrong hands, the word clock could mean something. You know what I mean?
Totally,
It's just,
totally.
So I do get why they're like, you know, African Americans or black people in general, like. Don't say
that word.
Don't say that
I
word,
say
and
that
this
word.
is our word.
But
and
I
we get
wasn't
to say,
raised saying that word. It wasn't said in my house growing up. It's
Yeah,
not a
mine
word
neither.
that lives in my head.
No, me neither.
So-
And I do recoil when I hear it because to me
I do too.
it
I
comes
flinch.
with.
I flinch.
But when I'm reading it contextually in a work
Yeah, I'm not
of
going to say
literature,
take it out of
No.
books. Well, and what do you think now about all this taking down the Confederate memorials? I really don't know how I feel about that.
I don't either. I've been
It's
thinking
history.
a lot about it. I know.
And removing it doesn't take
The
it
Nazi
away.
flag though doesn't fly anywhere in
No,
Germany.
it doesn't. No, it does
So
not.
there's-
And that's a good point.
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting question. You know,
Yeah, it may be time.
What do people represent? And my biggest concern with any kind of removal of something is that it will be forgotten that it happened and therefore can repeat itself.
Exactly.
That's my biggest concern.
That's
Now,
why
if you
I
wanna
say it's
put
history.
If you want to put it, but that's fine.
But maybe it shouldn't be in the public parks. Maybe it should be
that's
in
what
a
I'm saying.
museum of
Put it in a
the
museum.
abhorrent.
Yeah, stick it in a museum that says this
Yeah,
is the struggle,
well-
this is what it is. And that's, to me, a museum, it's understandable in that
and
context.
it would be appropriate in that
But
context.
I don't think, just like I don't think the 10 Commandments should be on a court.
Well, that's
court thing.
unconstitutional.
I agree.
That's
The
not even up to
separation
us.
the church is
The founding fathers took care of that,
but they're still
doing it.
They
I know.
still do it. So-
And it bought the "In God We Trust" on the money. I have a little stamp for my.
It's behind the Supreme Court. It's
Oh, I
sitting
know.
on the wall.
I know. It shouldn't be there. It only
should
went
not
in
be
there in the 50s.
Yeah, it
And
shouldn't be there.
A lot of people are shocked to
It's
find
on
that
the
out.
money. I
Yeah,
mean,
in the 50s.
Yeah.
In the 50s.
Yeah.
I have a
So,
stamp that I
50s
cover
were
up.
a great time.
Oh, they sure were. They
That
were
was
fabulous.
Yeah, that was
They were fabulous.
sarcastic for those
Yeah.
of you that didn't see my face roll up into my
Yeah.
head. But yeah, as far as the monuments and stuff, like the Robert E. Lee's and the Dixie, the Confederate flag and all that stuff, I think that there is a place in history. It belongs in a museum. Yes. Does it belong on public land, in courtroom sitting
Well,
in front
yeah,
of whatever?
those
then
are two.
no, I don't think it does. And I don't think that people who have been dealt some pretty shitty hands, Native Americans too. I mean, that somebody I saw on Twitter said, well, then we need to take down Christopher Columbus. I'm like, that's a freaking good point.
Oh, totally. Well,
It's a really good point,
and that's when people bring up the whole Native American thing.
Yeah.
I say, are you handing over the deed to your property to them?
Right.
Because if not, you're just a big fat hypocrite.
Right. I mean, it's so multi-layered, and you can't.
Detailed argument.
I
think it's worth talking about the Confederate thing though,
Yeah.
because it's something that I wasn't thinking about because it didn't affect me.
Right.
But if it's wildly inappropriate,
Right.
and it really, where else are there monuments to the losers in a war?
Right. Well, and again, that's why I say if you see the swastika,
Yeah.
I think that would unnerve you if that was hanging from a courthouse.
Oh, I would not be happy about that.
No, it was.
Well, and that I have this whole separation of church and state has been a lifelong cause for me, and I don't think that there should be any. There shouldn't be any public displays. And I mean, and we're all accustomed to enjoying the big Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center.
Right. But I look at that as pagan.
That's that's
I don't
different.
associate that with
the word God
Christianity.
isn't on it, and Christmas is just Christmas. I mean, it's
I
been
know more Jews that celebrate celebrate Christmas than Christians,
totally.
to be honest.
It's a gift-giving holiday.
Yeah.
It's not a religious holiday.
Yeah.
And
technically
there are people who are
holiday,
there are people who argue for both sides of that coin that it's good and bad for both of those reasons.
Right.
That it's great that it's not religious anymore, or it's horrible that it's not religious anymore. But for what it's worth, it's not religious anymore.
Right, and people hang Christmas lights up all year round. So are they still
exactly.
Christmas lights?
Exactly.
Well,
are they lights?
Is it Kleenex if it's just a box that has tissue coming out of it? Well, Kleenex is a name brand. Yeah,
exactly.
So it's a freaking
weird
awesome
thing to discuss,
conversation.
It is.
And it's one that should be had.
Yeah.
But you
church and state is a very hard line.
Yeah, for me that's
no 10 Commandments in the courthouse.
Right.
No God on the money.
Right.
None of that stuff.
Very specific.
Yeah.
For me that is when the waters get way too muddy, and it's got to be all or nothing, you know. And
you hear people say that America's a Christian nation. Bullshit.
Well, Trump came out and said
lots of presidents have said it.
No, I know. But he came out and said we are a nation under God. You know, we are a
God-fearing.
God-fearing.
It's in the fucking pledge.
I know it is.
Which I wouldn't say when I was a kid, by the way.
There's a great book, but I bring it up. Look, every president is, well, there's been a Catholic, and then all the others have been Christian, and I'm not calling Trump out for saying this. I'm just saying he just said this in a contextual situation where they're talking about the immigration, and that's why it bothered me. Yeah. Because sure, I mean, Obama gave plenty of prayers, you know, whatever.
Well,
so did Bush. So did they all do?
Yeah, and I'm appalled and grossed out at every one of them. It's inappropriate for the president to be leading anyone in prayer because it's offensive.
Well, it doesn't really represent the entirety of the United States.
It certainly doesn't.
And again,
and being Catholic was one of the things that got Kennedy killed.
Right? Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, that was. It goes so deep.
So deep.
And it's so fascinating. And I mean, for those of you listening, you know, really.
Oh, I don't think anybody's still listening.
Yeah, they might
all
not
gone
be.
To sleep.
But it's such a fascinating argument, and it's one worth having. And by argument, I don't mean yelling. I mean a discussion, a debate. Yeah. Yeah, so to answer your question from about 80 years ago.
Well, it's turnabout's fair play.
The Confederate flag in a museum, yes. Hanging somewhere, no. Robert E. Lee statue, because of what that represented, I would have to. And Nathan Bedford Forrest, we have a big one. It's on private property, but it's on the highway line. Huge, you know.
Not private property. They can do what they want.
They can do what they want, but everybody sees it. So I wouldn't mind if the state didn't come along and plant some really tall trees there.
Exactly.
Which on their side,
which
on
their side, which they can totally
don't.
Do. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my thing with that. As far as like the church and school argument is really fascinating too, because you know, don't teach evolution, it's a form of religion. And I was like, okay,
but evolution
science
isn't a religion.
I know that, but for those on the one side, which I would argue that science is its own religion,
right?
You know what I mean?
I know people who make that argument,
right?
But
so
I
for
disagree
me,
with
it's
that.
like teach all of them or teach none of them.
Well,
but evolution is a
totally
science.
cool
so.
About having a comparative religions class, and in fact, I endorse this.
I do too.
For everyone should take a comparative religions class.
Totally agree.
And I don't have children. That was a choice I made very, very early. I tried to get sterilized when I was 16. Oddly, no one would do that for me.
Yeah.
But I did it when I was 22. So, oh yeah, very happy.
Yeah, and you found a doctor at 22. Usually that's even pretty
young. I had to
doctors.
put up with a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I had to put up with a lot of shit to make that happen.
Yeah.
But so I have these ideas. I don't know what is the school curriculum and what is not. But I do think that they should teach you how to manage money, how to balance a checkbook.
I agree.
I think that everyone should have a comparative religions class because we are a global economy more now than ever, and the world is full of all kinds of really cool religions that you should know about. It'll make you more tolerant.
You don't have to believe them.
No, you don't have to believe any of them,
including atheism. I mean, I think it all needs to be represented. Yeah. I mean, the greatest gift.
We used to study mythology. I had an English teacher who called the Bible Hebrew mythology, which is what it is.
Yeah.
It's totally what it is. So they should study that, and that I think is absolutely should be mandatory in the school. I also think
they should give everyone a 23andMe DNA kit, and then talk about how we're all from the same damn place. and that we're all connected.
Yeah.
We're
just human beings.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like if that was... Little kids are taught hatred.
Absolutely.
They are not born,
it's not born
with that
in
in their hearts. That is something they are absolutely indoctrinated into. So
everything is something they're indoctrinated into.
Granted.
But if we're going to allow this, if we're going to mandate this comparative religions class, then we need to learn about science too. We need to learn about evolution.
Absolutely, I agree.
Evolution makes that, to me, that's not a religion. It's science. But I'm not a religious person.
Right.
I don't believe that the world is 5,000 years old.
I do not either. I don't either. I don't understand, because I believe in something bigger than myself. I have no qualms. I am very much believer in science, but I also have no issue with believing there's something larger at work.
Well, they should teach everything.
And I
embrace the power of and.
Yes.
Why is it a choice?
Right.
Just teach everything.
And it's okay to incorporate all your beliefs into one big soupy mix.
Sure.
You know, stone soup.
Yeah, stone soup. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, now I feel like for the last 15 minutes we've actually exemplified what Church of Satan is.
Totally.
It's conversation.
Yep.
About all the stuff.
Yeah, and it's being okay to look at things and maybe find out that you were wrong about something.
Yeah.
Or maybe find out that you were right about something.
Or that it doesn't matter
or
either
that
way.
you didn't even know about something, and it's so fucking cool that now you want to go find out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ruth.
My pleasure. Thank you.
How can people find you if they want to?
churchofsatan.com is the big website. If they want to find me, ruthwaytz.com, ruthwaytz.com.
And I'll put links on Hey Human Podcast. Thank you so much for
Yay,
your time and this great
this was
conversation.
So fun. Yay.
I loved it.
Me too.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.